You woke up this morning and told yourself today would be different. You believed in the plan, you trusted the people around you, and while you were busy hoping, they were busy taking. Your optimism is not your strength. Right now, it is their weapon. Every time you gave someone the benefit of the doubt, you paid a price. Every time you stayed positive, someone else stayed strategic. This is not bad luck. This is not your fault. This is a system, and you were never told it existed. Today, that changes. What you are about to hear was buried because it was too honest. A philosopher they called a pessimist. What he really was the only one telling the truth. Stay with me, because after this, you will never be exploited the same way again. You have been told your whole life that positivity is power, that if you work hard, stay hopeful, and keep giving, the world will return what you put in. But look around you. Honestly, has that been true? The good things you believed in, did they protect you, or did they leave you exposed? The people who climbed over you, were they more talented, or were they simply less trusting? Your pain is real. Your effort was real. Do not let anyone take that from you. But the reason you keep ending up here at the bottom of someone else's success is not weakness, it is a design. The system was built to use your openness against you. Optimistic people are easier to delay, easier to pacify, easier to extract from. Tell an optimist soon, and he will wait forever. Tell a realist soon, and he starts watching. You were not born naive, you were trained to be, and the training served someone else. Schools taught you compliance, relationships taught you patience, workplaces taught you to wait your turn, while someone else was learning how power actually moves and using your patience as their runway. This is not cynicism, this is not bitterness, this is the map they never handed you. Arthur Schopenhauer drew that map 200 years ago, and they have been hiding it since. Arthur Schopenhauer was born in Danzig, a city that no longer exists, a fitting origin for a man the world tried to erase. He watched people, not with warmth, with surgical precision, and what he saw disgusted him. He saw that human beings are not driven by reason, not by love, not by virtue. They are driven by will, a blind, hungry, insatiable force. And the people around you, the ones who smiled and promised and encouraged you, they were not exceptions to that will, they were expressions of it. Schopenhauer was dismissed by his peers. His lectures were empty while Hegel filled halls next door. He scheduled them at the same time on purpose. He was humiliated. But he did not soften his ideas to fill the room. He sharpened them, and centuries later, his ideas fill the world. He wrote one sentence that no optimist has ever fully recovered from. Life swings like a pendulum backward and forward between pain and boredom. Arthur Schopenhauer. Read that again. Pain or boredom, not joy, not peace, not reward. Those are not the default states of human existence. They are the advertisements. You were sold joy as the destination, but Schopenhauer says the destination does not exist, and the selling of it is how they keep you moving in circles. Now that you understand who he was, understand what he is about to give you. Not comfort, truth.
Lesson 1. The will does not rest, and neither do the people driven by it. Schopenhauer believed that beneath every human action, every smile, every promise, every act of generosity, there is an engine, a blind, hungry will to survive, to dominate, to take. You have met this person, the friend who only calls when he needs something, the colleague who praises you publicly, then takes credit privately. You did not misread them, you read them correctly, then gave them the benefit of the doubt. That was the error. The psychology here is simple. Optimists signal safety to predators. When you project openness and trust, you are broadcasting, "I will not hold you accountable." Starting today, observe before you trust. Let silence be your first response. Watch what people do when they think you are not paying attention. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is surveillance. The less you reveal, the more they reveal. If you understand this, if you have felt the cost of trusting too fast, drop this in the comments. I watch before I trust. The man who moves quietly, who gives nothing away before he must, is the man the will cannot locate, cannot target, cannot use. They cannot exploit what they cannot read. Lesson 2. Desire is the trap, and they built the bait. Schopenhauer's core argument, the one that destroys comfortable thinking, is that desire does not lead to satisfaction. It leads to more desire. You have felt this. You got the job and immediately needed the promotion. You got the promotion and immediately felt the ceiling above it. This is not your failure. This is the will operating exactly as designed. The system did not break. You are experiencing it correctly. But here is what they use against you. They manufacture desire. The advertisement, the comparison, the promotion you were not supposed to know about until someone else got it. A man chasing desire is a man they can steer. Feed the desire, he moves right. Withhold it, he moves left. You were never driving. This knowledge is for protection, not for destruction. Use it to see the strings, not to become the puppeteer. The practical move? Stop announcing your wants. Every desire you declare is a lever they can pull. Want less publicly, want more precisely. The man who controls his desire controls his direction. He cannot be baited, he cannot be delayed, he cannot be steered by someone else's timetable. If this lesson just showed you a hand that has been played against you, drop this in the comments. I am the destination, not the pursuit.
Lesson 3. Suffering is not punishment. It is information. Optimists treat suffering as an anomaly, as something gone wrong that should not have happened, so they explain it away. Blame bad luck, blame timing, move on, unchanged. Schopenhauer saw suffering differently. He saw it as the only honest message the universe sends. Pain is data, and you have been taught to mute it. When the same painful pattern repeats in your life, the same betrayal, the same dead end, the same feeling of being used, that is not bad luck. That is a message about something you have not yet changed. Stop asking why this keeps happening to you. Start asking what you keep doing that makes it possible. The practical shift. When something causes you pain, sit with it for one moment before you explain it away. Ask, what is this trying to show me about how I am operating? Pain that is examined becomes a wall. Pain that is avoided becomes a ceiling. Schopenhauer did not tell you to enjoy suffering. He told you to stop wasting it. The man who can face his own pain with open eyes is the one thing every exploiter fears, a man who cannot be managed through comfort. You cannot bribe a man who has made peace with difficulty. You cannot threaten a man who has already stared down his own fear. Lesson 4. Solitude is not loneliness, it is armor. They have taught you to fear being alone, because a man alone, truly alone, comfortable in his own silence, is a man they cannot reach. Schopenhauer spent large parts of his life alone, and he called it his greatest protection. He said the more social a man makes himself, the more he opens himself to compromise. Think about the last time you were talked out of something you knew was right. Were you alone when you made the decision, or was someone else in the room? The crowd does not want you to succeed on your own terms. It wants you to succeed on terms it can understand and control. Every time you sought approval before you moved, you gave someone a vote over your life that they never earned. If solitude has been your strength more than people have ever been, drop this in the comments.
alone is where I am most dangerous. The practical move? Schedule time alone before every major decision, not to isolate, but to hear yourself before the noise of other people's agendas gets in. Comfort with solitude is one of the most threatening qualities a man can develop because it means he cannot be socially punished into compliance. When you are comfortable alone, the crowd loses its leverage, the threat of exclusion stops working, and for the first time, your choices are actually yours. Lesson 5. Pity is the most sophisticated form of control. Schopenhauer had a complicated relationship with pity. He respected it as the root of genuine morality, but he also saw how it was weaponized. You know this person, the one who is always in crisis, always at the worst possible moment, always needing something only you can provide. Their suffering is real enough that you feel cruel for questioning it. That is the sophistication of the trap. Real pain, strategically deployed. The psychology? Empathetic people are the easiest to redirect, because redirecting them does not require force, it requires a story. You are allowed to feel compassion and still hold your boundary. Those two things are not in conflict. Caring does not require you to be consumed. The practical rule? Before you help someone in crisis, ask, is this the first time? Is the pattern theirs or circumstance? Do they want rescue or resolution? Help the person in a ditch. Do not help the person who builds their house next to one and calls you every time they fall in. Schopenhauer's warning, the man who cannot say no to suffering he did not cause will spend his life being the solution to problems he never created. If you have lost something important because you could not say no to someone else's emergency, drop this in the comments. My compassion is not a leash.
Lesson 6. The quietest man in the room is often the most dangerous. Schopenhauer believed that genius, real genius, requires the capacity to be alone with your own mind without discomfort, without distraction, without the need for external validation. In today's world, they have made silence unbearable on purpose. The notification, the feed, the constant noise, because a thinking man is an ungovernable man. The man who can sit in a silent room for an hour with nothing but his own thoughts is already operating at a level most people will never reach. The practical exercise: 1 hour per day, no phone, no music, no people, just your thoughts and what they reveal about where you actually are versus where you said you would be. The loudest people in every room are rarely the most powerful ones in it. Power whispers, it watches, it waits, then moves decisively. Schopenhauer wrote alone, thought alone, built his entire philosophy alone, and outlasted every institution that dismissed him. That is what silence compounds into. You do not need them to understand your vision. You do not need their timeline. You need your silence, your consistency, and your refusal to explain yourself before you have built the evidence. Because the day the evidence speaks, no one will remember that they doubted you, but you will, and that will be enough. If you are building something right now that no one around you understands yet, drop this in the comments. They will understand when it is finished. Everything you just heard, this is not philosophy. This is a mirror, and what it shows is not comfortable. You have been operating inside a story that was written for you, a story that needed you to be hopeful, pliable, and endlessly patient. The old you is dead, not because you failed, but because you finally understood. And you cannot unknow what Schopenhauer has shown you. The optimism they exploited, it is not gone. It has been converted into accuracy, into patience that is strategic, not passive, into trust that must be earned. You are a weapon pointed at your own future, not at anyone who wronged you, not at the systems that used you, at the life you have decided in this moment to go and take.
No one gave Schopenhauer permission to be right. No institution endorsed his truth. No crowd validated his solitude. He moved anyway, alone, certain, and history made him immortal for it. Not because he was liked, because he was true. You belong to no one, not to their expectations, not to their approval, not to the version of you they decided was safe enough to tolerate. That version is finished. What moves forward from this moment is something they did not build and therefore cannot control. Schopenhauer called the will blind, but your will, from this moment, has eyes. If you made it here, you are not the person you were 10 minutes ago. That is not a small thing. This channel exists for one kind of man, the man who is done being the most available person in a room full of people who were never available for him. Subscribe, but only if this is the kind of truth you want more of. Do not do it for the algorithm. Do it because you decided this knowledge belongs in your life. Every video on this channel is a lesson they did not want you to find. Schopenhauer was only the beginning. Before you go, one question. Sit with it. Let it cost you something. What is the one belief about people that if you stopped holding on to it today would change everything about how you move through the world?